And Canadians are heading to the polls today to elect their members of parliament. Voters are effectively choosing between current Prime Minister Mark Carney or Conservative opposition leader Pierre Poilievre to lead the country. Just a few months ago, a Conservative Party victory seemed like a foregone conclusion. Then President Trump started a trade war, and Poilievre's association with Trump sent stocks tumbling. For more, let's bring in Canada correspondent for the New York Times, Ian Austen from Ottawa, Canada. He's been closely watching this election. Ian, thanks for coming on. Talk about how big of an impact President Trump is having on this election in Canada.
Well, it's not just the trade war, right? It's the president's repeated calls to annex Canada and make it the 51st state, which he repeated again this morning, um, in a social media post where he said, "Vote for the person." He seemed to be referring to himself, who will cut your taxes in half and increase your military spending. So it's been very, very much about President Trump and which of the two potential prime ministers is the best person to deal with the president in the aftermath of his trade war, which is potentially devastating for much of Canada's economy.
And if you could put this into more context, because the Liberals were down nearly 30 points in some polls. Now they're expected to win. Have you ever seen a comeback like this in Canadian politics?
No, no, it'll be an extraordinary thing, and it's doubly extraordinary because Mark Carney, who replaced Justin Trudeau as the leader of the Liberals and Prime Minister, is a complete political neophyte. Today will be the first time, assuming he's elected as a member of parliament, that he's ever been elected to anything or run for anything. So it's an extraordinary turnaround. He's up against a man in Pierre Poilievre who's been a lifelong politician, however, and that many people seen has been his secret weapon. Mr. Carney was the governor of the Bank of Canada, the governor of the Bank of England, and he was the chairman of some large financial services company and once worked at Goldman Sachs.
Liberal Prime Minister Justin Trudeau resigned in January. How is that factoring into all of this?
It's huge. After the Liberals were dragged down very much by Mr. Trudeau. He'd been around almost 10 years. People were tired of him. I think he was associated, even though Canada did, as well as a country could under COVID, he still had that lingering with him. People were just, I think, on the whole, tired of him. And it's been particularly important to the Liberals in Quebec, where Mr. Trudeau's name had a lot of baggage from his father. Now, Mr. Trump has turned many Quebecers into Canadian flag-waving patriots, which is something I've never seen in my life. And those flag-waving patriots are all, it appears, going to vote Liberal rather than for the Bloc Québécois, which is a party devoted to Quebec separatism.
So, what would a Liberal victory mean for Canada's relationship with the United States and the Trump White House?
Well, that's a huge question, right? I mean, how does anybody deal with Donald Trump? I mean, we saw with Mexico's new president, Claudia Sheinbaum, that she took a sort of approach where she placated him, humored him. And where did Mexico end up? Well, pretty much the same place as Canada in terms of tariffs. So I'm not sure there's any, there's any real way for other nations to deal with Mr. Trump that's a guaranteed success. Both leaders, talk a hard line, say that, Canada's sovereignty is not negotiable. So, we'll see. It's very difficult to read the president's mind.
All right, Canada correspondent for the New York Times, Ian Austen. Ian, thank you.
Thank you.